have a panel session that is about to start. It's our first panel session, and the topic of this panel session is strategies for enhancing employee development and organizational success. And to speak on this very, very important topic, pivotal topic, are a panel of experts. And these experts, wow, cut across. I'm reading their profile and I'm like, wow, I already have my own questions, already. I'll be asking questions over there already, because these people have experience not just in learning and development, but also within the context that we're looking for. So if you work in private sector, if you work in public sector, you are in the right place. So without further ado, I will be introducing in no particular order the members of the panel. I'll read their profiles and welcome them up on stage. And then after the panel members, I will be reading the profile of the amiable moderator who will be ensuring that the conversation flows appropriately. So first and foremost, I will be introducing her. Her name is Fatima Ango. I hope I pronounced your surname properly. And she's head learning and development, or head learning strategy and advisory at Central Bank of Nigeria. So you see, we didn't bring small people. You can clap again, right? Fatima is a seasoned professional with a focus on learning and development and leadership development. She has over 2 decades of banking experience working with institutions like the People's Bank of Nigeria, NACRDB, now Bank of Agriculture, and the Central Bank of Nigeria. Transitioning from accounting to HR, Fatima excels in fostering organizational learning and development. Her educational credentials include a BSc in accounting, MBA, and a postgraduate diploma in peace studies and conflict resolution, and executive education from Harvard Kennedy School and Oxford University. Okay, I'm not Russian, but I will try. Blavatnik School of Government, sponsored by Ike Imogwede Foundation. As an ATD Master Performance Consultant, she's committed to enhancing employee performance and driving growth through training and leadership initiatives. Outside of work, Fatima is passionate about leadership and lifestyle topics, women's development and gender equality. She is also a member of WIMBIS. She enjoys traveling, music, and lifelong learning, continuously seeking new knowledge to enhance organizational effectiveness and empower individuals. Please make welcome Fatima Ango. Welcome to any of the seats. Next, we'll be having an interesting profile. He taught me how to pronounce his name this morning, so I will try to do it justice. We'll be welcoming Sandeep Sham. Good. Head Learning and Development, Multi-Pro Consumer Products Limited. Sandeep is an accomplished professional based in Lagos, Nigeria, with over 15 years of extensive experience in leadership and business management across various sectors. His career highlights include significant roles in sales, marketing, project management, learning and development, and sustainability at Multi-Pro Consumer Products Limited, a subsidiary of Kellogg Tolaram. Notably, Sandeep has excelled in reducing attrition rates, pioneering hybrid learning, and implementing effective digitization strategies. Right. His expertise extends to handling large teams, driving substantial business growth, and developing innovative market solutions. He has a background he has an academic background which includes an MBA from Cardiff University, that's in Wales in the UK, and a BTech in automotive engineering from Thompson Rivers University in Canada. Sandeep is also engaged in continuous learning and development through courses from prestigious institutions like Columbia Business School and Cambridge University. Please welcome Sandeep Sham. I hope I tried. Okay. Wow, we'll be welcoming somebody else to this panel that brings a unique perspective. And his name is Leke Oshinyemi, founder, CEO, Recruit Consulting. Leke is a prize-winning management and performance consultant, HR strategist, and L&D expert with over 2 decades of experience across various sectors, including manufacturing and other services, right? A globally certified HR professional, he is licensed by CIPM and holds numerous certifications, including ATD Certified Instructional Designer and Facilitator. Currently, Leke is the lead management consultant at Recruit Consulting, focusing on management consulting, learning and development, HR consultancy services. Leke holds a certificate in advanced strategic HR management from Cornell University, a master's degree in public administration from the University of Lagos, and a bachelor's degree in philosophy from Olabisi Onabanjo University. Passionate about capacity building and leadership development, Leke is committed to advancing Africa's human capital through regular publications, speaking engagements, and corporate culture, strategy, and career development. Please make welcome Leke Oshiemi. See, that's how you know when you're introducing family members. Right. We have another powerful profile here. And he is Sheni Suleiman, founder TalStack. Sheni is the founder of TalStack, a venture-backed startup building an all-in-one platform that enables businesses to drive better employee engagement and productivity, and upskill their employees with tools, content, courses, and insights from top African professionals and entrepreneurs. He is also the founder of Black Ops, a private network of top African operators playing a critical role in building and scaling great companies. I'm applying for membership. Nobody else, right? Great. Sheni was previously interim COO of Bellhop, a venture-backed startup in the US, and an executive at Andela, a venture-backed unicorn, where he led global operations, leading cross-functional teams spanning operations, finance, HR, marketing, talent supply, and global travel. Sheni's roles involved scaling operations across Africa, building high-performing teams, and establishing a great company culture that placed Andela as #1 best place to work. Sheni holds an MBA from Harvard Business School and a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from Northwestern University. Please make welcome Sheni Suleiman. Yes, I have a lot of family members, and they are brilliant people. So I'm learning a lot. I'm here to learn, relearn, unlearn some of the things I've learned, because we all have those habits. So I'm not taking for granted the presence of these amazing people and their time. All right, the last but not the least panel member before I introduce the moderator is Ibitayo Ogumbanwo, managing partner at Tadef Consulting Limited. Ibitayo is an astute and deeply skilled professional with experience in management consulting, learning and development, and business development, strategic HR management. He has a strong passion for people capability development, which spans various sectors. He is very competent in the design and implementation of organizational learning and development interventions to improve individual and organizational performance. His experience spans several sectors: financial services, business consulting, regulatory oversight institutions, and public sector, so he's been everywhere. And he is a full member of the Nigerian Institute of Training and Development, NITAD. Ibitayo is a dedicated team player who believes in teamwork. His interests include networking, reading, learning, adventures, traveling, games, and listening to music, and he derives utmost pleasure in creating solutions to problems. He is happily married, and please make welcome Ibitayo Ogumbanwo. He is happily married. Thank you. Okay, now to our moderator. I'm particularly excited to read this profile. Our moderator is Adeshola Aliogo, Head People and Culture at Core Technologies. Adeshola is a seasoned HR professional with diverse experience across different industries. She began her career at Dangote Industries before moving to Deloitte as talent acquisition and mobility specialist, where she managed end-to-end recruitment processes and provided support to HRBPs and hiring managers. Further in her career, Adeshola held the position of human capital business partner at Sterling Bank PLC, providing strategic and operational support to Sterling Alternative Finance. Yes, if you've used Alt Finance. Adeshola then joined Vendees, a Y2 Combinator company, as the head of people operations, where she built HR processes and provided strategic leadership to the people management team. She is a recognized leader and innovator in the Nigerian HR community, receiving accolades such as being named one of the 40 HR leaders and innovators in Nigeria, and more. She does a lot that includes mentoring, coaching, and organizing events as well. Overall, Adeshola Aliogo's journey exemplifies dedication, expertise, and a passion for empowering individuals and organizations through effective HR practices and leadership. She is passionate about her faith, family, and music. So please make welcome our moderator for this panel session, Adeshola Aliogo.
Good morning again, everyone. You know, it's interesting. I was here last year as a member of the audience, and I'm here as a moderator. Praise the Lord. So you can be the next person here next year. It's amazing to see the hall very, very filled up, and it's quite interesting. Another thing I'm happy about is I used to say something in my office. Whenever we have meetings, HR always comes last to do any presentation or whatever. I don't know why. And today I'm moderating first. Amazing. All right, nice to meet everyone. We're supposed to be talking about strategies for enhancing employee development and organizational success. I know it's funny, we were talking just right there, and I remember a time when I was at Dangote. My boss used to talk a lot about feel-good trainings, right? People want to get trained. Even every time I have an interview, somebody's asking, what is L&D like? Like, how do people learn? But then there's always the question of how do people transfer the learning into the job that they do? No matter how passionate a leader is about people, they also want return on their investments, right? There's a popular saying that somebody's asking, if I don't train them, if I train them and they go, that's waste of money for him. But then the response to that question is, what if you don't train them and they stay with you? So if we look at it, it's beneficial for both you as an individual or as a leader. Training, learning and development, employee development must happen. So we're here to really look at the two and bring it all together. All right, and we're going to be focusing on different areas such as what exactly, how do you present the business case for learning and development? I don't know, good for me. I have a leader who's very passionate about learning in sense that he knows that we have a lot of knowledge that we've built in-house, and is very particular about how that knowledge is managed, how we document it, how we transfer it, and ensure that it is useful for us. Even when somebody leaves, how do we ensure that they don't go with the knowledge, But that's even for critical domain knowledge. So there are a lot of things we'll look at. We'll also discuss, how we can develop people in terms of building pathways for them, career pathing and all. We'll look at collaborative learning opportunities, and of course, how you ensure you get continuous feedback in learning. So it's funny how Fatima is in the middle, but I will do ladies first today, right? And I want us to really speak to the aspect of business case. And I particularly want to ask because we all have a certain mentality about federal government parastatals, right? I remember when I saw CBN, I'm like, oh, they do L&D in CBN. There's just this mindset that anything government, nothing happens. So I want you to please just speak, based on your experience generally. How do you determine, how best do you go about, presenting a business case for learning and development? I'll just make it as simple as that. How do you show what the return on investment will be? What are the critical things that you put together, right? And basically, tell us your experience, just maybe share something with us, and I'm sure people will learn from it.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here. First of all, many organizations think we in L&D are cost centers and not profit-making functions. Am I right? Yeah. So, and the main problem is because we have not been able to tell our stories. We work day and night We service people, we train, we coach, we mentor, everything around L&D. We develop content, we develop curriculum, we do a whole lot of things, and we are not able to showcase these things to top management. You have to start from the vision, the mission, the strategic objectives. What is it you want to help management achieve? What are the problems that you want to solve? From there, you have to now tell management that this is what L&D is going to be able to do to achieve this. Incidentally, just recently, I developed something. I wanted to create a leadership development program for the bank. I know that most of our problems tie down to leadership. Number one, we are not training our leaders early enough. We are not developing our leaders. People get promoted to managerial levels without any clue on how to manage people. So I decided to come up with something, create a leadership development program for the bank. I did all the fancy things, all the benefits that it will show. The bank will derive from such a program, but it met a brick wall. It was turned down. So I had to re-strategize, reframe. Whenever you're taking something up there, you have to show them the cost of doing nothing. When you don't do this, this is what's going to happen, including productivity drag, loss of customer satisfaction, your retention rates will go down, turnover will go up. You have to demonstrate what the cost of doing nothing is in your proposal to management for making a business case for any L&D initiative that you want to make. And of course, have that mind shift from just reporting training effectiveness. You have to tie it to business outcomes. Let top management see what the expected business results are going to be. I think I should stop here.
Thank you. A round of applause, please. And thank you for speaking to metrics. I think a lot of people, we miss that in speaking about, there's a lot of feel-good things that we do generally in HR before we even go into, L&D. Someone is doing it, I want to do it too. I remember, and I'll share this experience, I remember there was a time, it was about 2-3 years ago, I was trying to put together the learning plan for the year. And one mistake that I made was I was focused more on what people want to learn as opposed to what they need to learn to do their job effectively. So it was a case of, what do you want to learn? People just come and say all sorts of things, and I was building my plan based on that. So thank you for speaking to the importance of aligning it to strategic goals of the business. Now I have this question for Mr. Leke. I'm speaking because you've been on both sides. Now you're a consultant, right? And you were one time in-house. And I know right now you do a lot of pitching and stuff, come and learn. I mean, I see your status. My God, you guys need to see his WhatsApp status updates. And my question is, tell us about the common challenges that you have faced, when trying to secure learning, like, let me just say, gigs for my Gen Zs in-house, right? What are the challenges you face, both at the time that you were practicing in-house and now as a consultant? How do you sell the importance of employee development to business leaders?
Thank you very much. That's a very beautiful question. And I would like to say this, that I had a challenge when I was putting my thoughts together on this, that look, as somebody who has been an insider and now also a consultant, who is my audience? Am I talking to insiders? Am I talking to consultants? Am I talking to trainees or trainers? But then I will just pack everything together. There are a couple of challenges that come when you are putting together your curriculum, you're putting together, let me say, you're trying to sell, let me use that word, sell, a training idea or training program to organizations, either public sector or private sector. And these challenges are enormous. Number one is I've found L&D people who have Googled the internet and asked ChatGPT, and I've said, look, we want to train these young people and we want to train them on X. And upon asking further questions, I realized that that's not what you should be training these guys. They are new managers, they are frontline managers, they are first-time managers, and you are training them on something very, very esoteric that does not even speak to the pain point. So there are a lot of challenges here. Number one is, do we as learning and development experts, have we been able to diagnose what the problem is? Which we can learn a lot from doctors. If you come to a doctor and say, you know what, I'm feeling pains here, and the doctor asks you, when last did you see your period? Just give me malaria drugs. That has to be a quack doctor that gives you malaria drug. You might be pregnant. There might be cancer. It might be something horrible. So he's asking those questions to drill down to what the real problem is. And sometimes L&D people, that's the beginning of the problem. We come across and we just generalize, okay, they need training on customer service. They need training on leadership. Maybe what they really need, okay, your managers are using F word on people, they have anger issues, and just send them to customer service training. I mean, you need to diagnose what the problem is before you even send people for training. That's number one. Then there is the problem of cost. I mean, she said it already. Why do we want to, have been, as an insider, I've handled a portfolio of a couple of billions in Naira in terms of budget, training budget. And finance, I don't know if there is any finance experts here. When it comes down to money, and then this is November and the year is going to an end, you look at training and say, look, how much do we have there that we can keep as profit, because you don't want to spend that money on training. And that's a challenge, because they are looking at training, like she said, as a cost center. But L&D people, we have the responsibility of selling what will happen if we don't train our people and what will happen when we train them. This has to be done with statistics, it has to be done with information, it has to be done with data, because you can't speak to management without data. You can't speak to management without showing that cosmetic picture of before and after. We have all seen that video, the lady without makeup and the lady after makeup. Let management see the beauty of when this investment, and when I'm doing proposal, by the way, I don't tell my partners or my organizations, okay, this is how much it will cost you. I tell them, this is the investment you are making, because again, there's a return on that investment. Thank you. Let me keep it short.
Thank you. Sheni, would you like to add anything, any perspective to this? Okay, no problem. Thank you. Thank you. Another round of applause for my esteemed panelists. All right, I'd like us to, and I already called your name, so you're prepared. I'd like us to speak to, career development pathways, generally when it comes to career development pathing and all. How do you think this contributes to retention, right? And I'd like you to relate it to what you're building right now at TALSTAC. How does it contribute to retention and engagement? By the way, I'm very passionate about engagement.
All right, so also very happy to be here. Thank you all for having us. I think the question, if I'll reframe it in my own words a bit, is what's the significance of having clear career pathways for your employees and a team? And if you're in the L&D team, what's your role in supporting those career pathways, right? I'll just do a quick survey to see who we have in the room, and then I'll answer the question. Who in this room would prefer to never get promoted and make more money?
Why are you putting the two together?
Okay, who in this room would prefer to never get promoted?
Will I make more money?
You can keep making more money, but you'll never have a more senior title, or more senior job, or more responsibilities, or more exposure. So you want to just keep making more money, but stay where you are. Okay, so we have one person. Great. And I think that answers the question, which is, by default, if you were to ask the same question to people that are in your company, in your team, they would have the same responses, right? When people go to work, they want to learn, they want to grow, they want to be able to look at their previous selves and say, I'm a better version of what that person used to be. So I like to step away from the technical language and focus on what's the human need first. If we can solve the human need, then we can solve the technical needs, right? And so that human need is that humans, we always like to evolve. If you put us in one place, we get impatient. I don't know how many people have woken up one day and said, my life is too easy. My life is too stable. I want to spice it up. Let me quit my job, or let me go and start a company, or let me go and start a side business, or let me, we look for adventure. And so I think human beings are just like that. So kind of going back to the question now is, I think within a company, your employees want to grow. And what happens is, when someone has been at a company for a particular amount of time, usually it's about 1.5 years or so, they start to wonder, so where am I going? Now, it doesn't mean that they care about moving right away. It's that they're looking into the future and they're saying, what's the future for me in this company? If I keep working hard, I keep giving to the company, I keep adding value, how do I, over time, get rewarded? And what does that future look like? So I think having career pathways is one of the most fundamental ways to drive employee engagement and also drive employee loyalty, because it's the most visible way of rewarding people for the effort they've put in. And I like the fact that you separated compensation from career leveling, because this is not a discussion about money, right? I think it's more of a discussion about how do you continue to build additional competency and develop yourself career-wise. And so I think it is a critical part of retention and engagement. As L&D people, which I think is most of the room, right? The goal is to connect L&D directly to the career leveling. And so what that means is, back to what Leke said earlier, and I think even what Fatima said earlier, your job is to be able to say, we are a significant partner for every employee who is trying to do what they naturally want to do, which is grow. Because we have spent the time to connect the competencies that are required to be successful at different levels. And we now have buy-in from the executive team on how those competencies drive value for the company. So now the company cares that you have those competencies. And now L&D is the best way for you to get access to those competencies. Because learning, there's a million ways to learn. But if someone tells you, I can give you the most accurate navigation to that next level. So rather than you going to figure out all the million different things to do, if you do this, learn this, learn that, apply it here and there. I've done it with 50 other people, and they've been able to develop themselves. You're likely to follow that person's path, right? So that's the job of the L&D person, is to say, I'm the most trusted advisor for you in following this career journey that gets you the outcomes you want and allows the company to value you more than they did yesterday. I'll pause there for a second, but that's my response to that question.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that response. And I think it's very, very important. And maybe I should just also, can I add as a moderator? Maybe I should also just add that before you even begin to talk about career pathways for people, I think we also need to focus on ensuring that people are even in the right jobs, right? It starts with ensuring that they are really on that path and discovering what it is for them. I liked that you talked about competency, and I would really like you to still, or maybe just anybody can add to say, contribute to that, really speak to, the importance of defining competencies when it comes to L&D, right? And I'll just use the opportunity to talk about something that we did in my current place. We tried to build like a competency framework just to define the critical, but let me not go into it. You're my panelist. So I'd like you to practically, because I like when people come to conferences and they have like practical things that they can take back and say, I'm going to do this one differently. So I'd like you to relate competency, defining them and then align it to these pathways. Because if we look at it, there's sometimes a confusion. Who's really responsible for defining career pathways? Is it the talent management person? Should it be the head of HR's Wahala? Should the L&D guy do it? So who is responsible? Let's talk about that. Thank you.
So I'll try to keep this a little bit short. I didn't want to start selling our company, so I was trying to avoid the question. But I'll give an example of why this is important, which I think many people in this room probably know. In one of my previous companies, we had the same thing where employees started asking us, "Okay, I've been here for some time. What's next? And I can see people ahead of me. How do I get to where they are?" Right? And it became a very big discussion. And we hadn't done a good job of defining competencies. So what we did is we basically got together a few of the heads of functions. And I'm not an HR person, but I fundamentally believe that HR is a strategic function in every company. And every serious business leader takes HR very seriously. And so we got the heads of functions together, we got the HR team together, and we said, we need to agree collectively on what success looks like at every level of the company. And that's the beginning of a competency mapping. It's basically, at every level of the company, what are we looking for? So you can define, depending on how your company is structured, you can say, analyst level or associate level, here's what that person's, we don't care whether you're in finance, marketing, operations, whatever, but you can show up to work, you can deliver work on time, on schedule, and you're reliable. The next level is maybe you're a senior analyst or a coordinator or something else. At that level, you're beginning to take on initiatives by yourself. You can work by yourself with limited guidance and deliver value for the company. You move to team lead, move to manager. Okay, manager should be able to lead team members independently, help them to drive value, create more culture, etc. Then you go to director, senior leaders, right? And so once you've done that, you then say, for this company, when we think about the cross-functional competencies, what are they? The things that we believe make us succeed as a group. Is it communication? Is it collaboration? Is it problem solving? Is it whatever it might be, right? Execution. And you define what each of those things mean at each of these levels. So that's the first step, is a cross-functional, the second step is a cross-functional competencies. And if you think, I like to use analogies. You look at the Army, look at the Navy, look at the Air Force, and every other military organization. If I'm a general in the Army, or I'm an admiral in the Navy, I may be commanding different types of troops, but I need to be able to communicate at the same level. I need to be able to inspire at the same level. I need to be able to lead at the same level, resolve conflict at the same level, think about strategy at the same level. So these are things that happen regardless of what function you're in. Those are the cross-functional skills. The next layer is then your functional skills. And you can define that by function, by department. So you say if you're in finance, you need to be able to do, at the early career level, you can use Excel to do budgets or do accounts reconciling. If you're a manager, you can create a budget and you can manage spend. If you're a senior director, you can do some much more complicated financial analysis and calculations and help to guide the company's priorities from a financial perspective. So you define that for each function at each level. And then the last one that I think we sometimes miss out on is the values. What makes us play well together? I think someone mentioned earlier that, are your managers using the F word on people? Are they treating people in a toxic way? I think at times we always hear about the salesperson that was doing really well, but then they're very toxic. So that's where the values kick in. What are the company's values? And then how are you able to make sure that the values are being upheld at different levels? So that is really the foundation of a competency framework.
Thank you
and
so much.
That's one of the tools that we're building at TALSTACK.
Thank you so much. And, I love, yes, keep it. Some people at the back are not clapping. You don't want to come and be a panelist next year. So, I love that you talked about values, right? And I think that is something that a lot of L&D professionals haven't tapped into. How we can convert values into learning programs. It's one thing for you to walk into an organization and you see on the walls, our values are, I'll say the ones, transparency, adventure. Give me examples. Correct. When you now ask them, what does it mean to actually be adventurous? Everyone is blank, right? So even in building the competency framework, you can even use that as part of your baseline. Everyone, this is how We are going to make sure that everybody's, as simple as empathy seems, some people have it as a big issue. You probably need to go through some mind shaping, coaching, and learn how to be empathetic. So I'm happy that you spoke about values. Now let's assume that we have defined our competency, right? I'm coming to you. And I'm coming to you because I know the workforce, they like to assess people. So today you're going to tell us, I know you left them, right? But you're going to tell us, practical ways of, doing assessments. We have these competencies defined, everything. How do I know where I am as a person? Like, I did something recently, just in trying to be a bit more practical about succession planning. And after we identified some people and we had identified the competencies for, of course, those roles and all, so we decided to carry out some assessments on it. So the first step for me was carry out a self-assessment. And people just came and people were just saying, I'm a master at this, I'm master. And it was interesting to see conversations happen between line managers and like, why did you say you're a mastery at this? Because I did this, I did that. No, you are still at the awareness level, right? So let's talk about the right way to actually carry out assessments to really identify objectively where people are, right? That's like our baseline for now defining next steps for them.
Thank you very much for the question. Before I go ahead, I want to say thank you, OLXD, for having me here. I've been seeing so many faces I've not seen before in a very long while, I must say that. Before I go deep into your question, I will use an example. There was a training I went for some years ago, training on writing and business skills. The facilitator asked us the question: if you know you're very good in business skills, 7 and above, raise up your hand. How good are you, right? A lot of people raised up their hands and said 7 over 10. Okay, let me confess. I think I said 8 over 10 and the rest, right? And he laughed. He didn't say anything, he just laughed. An hour into the training, he asked the same question again. How good are you in this? I think I said 1 or 2, right?
So, just to be clear, he was breaking it down?
Started breaking it down and started asking us questions. So that's why I said like an hour into the training. Now, like you said, a lot of people say that mastery is in it. How do you assess them? If you're going to use a training program, for example, before the training itself, do a form of assessment, right? It could be asking questions, it could be surveys, there are different ways you can deploy these things. Do you get my point? And at the end of whatever intervention you are doing, use the same set of questions. You will see that the needle has moved from one place to another, right? And that really shows that, okay, ignorance, sorry, that is kind of harsh, but ignorance is a major issue for a lot of people, employees and the likes. The moment you start saying, I am the best in this, I have a problem with you.
Is it bad to say I'm the best?
So the thing about it is this, the Kaizen concept, which is continuous learning. It is a motto I hold, and I will hold till I die. I will continue learning. Everything is a learning curve for me, right? I was in an organization once upon a time, and I was putting together a training. Someone came to meet me, and he said, Ibitayo, please, I do not want to be part of this training. I said, why? He said, I'm the best facilitator in Lagos. True story. I'm the best this, I'm the best that. I looked at him, I was shocked. I said, you know what, go and meet the MD. I'm not the one that will tell you whether to join or not. 3 months down the line, the person was sacked, right? But why am I saying this? Assessment helps you know your exact place. Do you understand? If you need to climb from the basic to intermediate to medium. So there are different ways you can do assessment. One of the best in organizations is, apart from doing a survey, speak to the line managers. Do you understand my point? Let's say I'm reporting to you, for example, now, and he comes and he says, what's my skill level on Excel? I think you mentioned Excel, so you got into my head, right? On Excel, and I say 7 over 10, right? And the same person comes to meet you, my line manager. What is Ibitayo's skill level on Excel? And you're like, Ibitayo doesn't know anything on Excel. Ibitayo is 3 over 5. So I am delusional to an extent. Something like that. Let me use the word delulu, according to the Gen Zs that are teaching me a lot of these things, right? So assessment really helps, and you need to actually tell yourself the truth, the mirror effect. If you want to grow, you need to get feedback. Feedback is the food of champions, am I correct? Do you get? So you need to be able to do other things. So going through the process of assessment, surveys, 360 questions, and the likes. Let me not speak too much on it. I hope I answered your question.
Are you guys good? You can ask him, or if you are just kidding. Are we supposed to have like question and answer after later? Okay. So please, if you have any questions, write it down. Thank you for speaking to that. Okay. I mean, you've also spoken about the different types of assessment, 360, self-assessment, and all of those things. So I hope that we all understand. I mean, still speaking on personalized, I'd like to speak to you. How did I even jump, Sandy? What's going on? I apologize. But I'd really love to know, maybe practically in your organization, right? I'm seeing that you're the head of learning and development for Multipro. Tell me about how, or tell us rather, it's not me, about how you carry out assessment to identify individual learning needs and how you tie that to the organization's needs as a whole.
Thank you so much. And once again, I'm really happy and grateful to be here. Having a learning and development conference is something that really excited me. Because if you look at the world, I think there's a lot, like even when Ademola spoke, there's a lot of things happening in the L&D space where L&D is actually being spun out as a separate department. It's no longer a small dot under HR. I mean, no offense to HR, but no, they are our guys, but you know, L&D is very important. So having said that, how do we assess, or how do we basically do what we call as a TNA, training need analysis? Okay, again, these are common lingos in the L&D space, but the business case that I would try to put here is, for example, I'll give you my organization. What you really need to understand is, first of all, what is it that we're trying to drive? So I would break it down into a simple 3-point agenda that actually makes sense from top all the way to bottom, right? So I work for Multipro. We are a Kellogg Tolaram company. We are, and humbly I say so, are the people that actually put brands like Indomie, Power Oil, Chin Chin, Kellogg's, Colgate into the hands of consumers. We are the ones that do all these brands. So from my perspective, what is more important, right? We are supposed to sell. It's basically sales we're looking at, and each resource or each salesperson is supposed to make sure that the sales of these cartons is getting down to the right place or to the retail place. Again, I'm simplifying it in the best possible way, because that is exactly what the CEO at the top is looking, and that's exactly what the guy at the bottom is also looking, because he has his daily targets. Once you have simplified this and understand that business case and the business goal, it makes it so much easier to then do your analysis to see where are the gaps, how are you understanding this. So I would speak about, I'm not really dwelling on the TNA case right now. I'm talking about alignment from whether you call it bottom down or top down or bottom up approach, whichever way you're going. So once you have that, you're able to design you're able to get your training need analysis, and then you now look at the kind of audience you're talking to, and then customize your training accordingly. So we have people at the bottom of the pyramid who would understand in a simple way. You make it modular, you simplify it. Then you have the people at the mid-senior level. Then you have the senior level, and that's how you take it. So I rest it here. Thanks.
Thank you. And I mean, one thing I picked that I believe everyone also picked is, and generally from the conversations so far, you can't work in silos. right? There needs to be an understanding of the business itself. Gone are those days where HR is just talking about HR. L&D can't just be talking about L&D. We need to understand what is important to the top. And that's the only way that we can, come up with our business cases for it to make sense. So if we don't take out anything, if you haven't been asking your boss, say, and you might also be a leader here, if you really don't understand the business, you can't function. You won't understand what the needs are. All right, thank you so much for that. Now, I like us to talk a bit about collaborative, learning. And that's because I know that, when it comes to different ways to transfer knowledge, there are a lot of ways. It's not even just about going for a training program, or there are different ways, even from conversations. The job itself is a way to learn. Now, I want to throw this question open, right? And anyone can please answer. How can we collaborate better as L&D professionals to really, because we've been talking about the leaders here, right? But there are also some other people that we can work with. And then I would also throw in this question, where there is no money, we need to, I know why Shane is laughing. Should I say it? I can't engage Shane if I don't have money. But really, where there isn't, they tell you there's no budget for this, but people still want to learn. What are other things that we can do? How can we collaborate to still ensure that somehow people are developing? Thank you, Mr. Leke. Please take it.
I think this is a very important question to a lot of organizations. We are all in Nigeria, and globally, seriously, revenues are being touched. And when this happens, I always tell my L&D friends that, look, you have to be part of the business. And while we are seeing organizations tank out, myself and Sardine were discussing this morning, talking about how much deep the dollar, naira thing has done to businesses. You will cry. I'm a business owner. I've seen CEOs behind closed doors shed tears in the corner. I know what I'm talking about. But then they still want to do well by their people. They want to develop people. I think we have a lot of options. And as a consultant, I want the money. I want all the billions to come to me. But again, for those who are inside HR, you can be creative. I remember when I was with Honeywell Flour Mills some years back, my MD did something fantastic, something innovative. He traveled abroad and came back with some books, management books, a lot of them. You're walking by, I was a management trainee, he just throws a book at you, like you catch the book, that's your portion. Some few days from now, do 10 slides, gathers every manager in Honeywell Flour Mills together in a hall and says, come and present to them. As a management trainee, your hands are shaky, you are in front of doctors and industry experts, engineers, supply chain, and you are discussing customer service, you're discussing HR business partnering. It was developmental. It was free. It was internal. But I'm telling you, today, if I go on LinkedIn, there are super managers that were developed by that, by that innovation. There are so many things you can do, as internal HR people that are innovative, and you can ask ChatGPT.
Clap for ChatGPT, please. Then you now cannot clap for Mr. Leke. I know those that clap, they know that ChatGPT is saving their lives in many ways. All right, thank you. And yes, creativity is very, very, very important. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'd like to add to that, yes. You talked about collaboration within the organization. I agree with you that L&D should separate from HR so that L&D is expanding, right? All over the world, organizations are separating L&D from HR so that we can have that focus on developing people. So collaboration now helps you do your job better. We're collaborating with HR, we're collaborating with subject matter experts.
You've separated it already.
Yes, but we're collaborating. You have to use the performance matrix, you have to use the competency framework, you have to use the data from HR to develop whatever you want to develop in L&D. And then you need the subject matter experts across the organization. We have an internal faculty pool, especially because we are the only ones that do what we do. So most of our trainings we develop in-house, especially in the economic policy area, the bank supervision area. We have an internal faculty pool, and L&D works directly with subject matter experts across the departments. We gather them, use our professionalism to develop the content, the curriculum for all these areas of expertise. Now, because of cost, now we save cost using our internal faculty. And then, of course, harnessing technology comes into the picture. Though this has received a lot of backlash, it means you want to stop people from traveling, you want to stop DTA, for those of us in the public sector, you want to stop DTA if you are saying most of your learning should happen online. But then using an online platform will help you a lot in collaborative learning. You have courses that people take, and then you build a community of people that have undertaken those courses. You see them having conversations. We have a lot of tools that we use. We use the Viva Engage. People share what they learn on Viva Engage. You see a lot of exchanges happening. So collaboration is very, very important for us L&D people. We want to move away from being order takers, right, to real L&D professionals, but we can't do it alone. We have to work with people. We are not experts in their field, and we are not expected to know their business deeply. We are just to be applying our professionalism and advising them on what will work best for them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add to this?
Yes.
All right. So I completely agree with what you said, and even you made mention after I spoke about information or teams cannot operate in silos, and this is actually one of the biggest things when you see in large organizations or large corporates. You see a lot of us operating in silos, and there is this information that you have that is only retained or it's kept within that particular thing. Now, collaborative learning allows you to then share that information, share that learning. And I bring it back to the topic of alignment that I was making sure, right? How does logistics or warehouse or finance get to know that what is sales going through, for example? It is only when we all come together and have that space and everybody understands that we're all part of that web and it is all interdependent, right? All right, let me put it in simpler ways. We're all the hub, the spokes of that wheel, and if any one collapses, it leaves a dent. So this is actually what collaborative learning does, where it opens that platform, that avenue for us to share. And like I said, I bring it back to that one common goal. One common goal. So the way I look at it is, you pick any person from your organization and ask him, what are we here to do? Or what are we here to achieve? If he speaks the same language, you're doing your job right. That's the way I look at it. Thanks.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I really, really love the inputs. And if you do your research, even the very big companies, organizations, when I was at Deloitte, what you talked about the internal faculty was something that we took advantage of a lot. Of course, because the company sells knowledge, so it's expected that people are actually very knowledgeable. So yeah, very important. So I'm hearing that we have to go into questions and answers, like right about now. What I'll ask this last question, after everything, we've talked about collaboration, presenting our business cases and all. We need to talk about how to get feedback. How do we know that we're doing it right? So Can you just speak about practical ways to, get feedback from whether the leaders or the people that had even been, developed generally?
Okay, thank you so much. Like I said earlier on, feedback is the food for champions, right? There are different ways you can get feedbacks through evaluations. There are different models. There is the Kirkpatrick, the Phillips II model, where you can get feedbacks from these things. Now, he said something earlier on that your boss, I think he said, Licky, your boss gave you a book to read. I'm of that opinion that one of the best ways to enforce learning, at times you need to enforce learning. Human beings, we can be very stubborn at times, right? One of the best ways to enforce learning is when you tell someone to go for a training, you tell the person when you come back, you are going to train everybody in-house, which is like a TTT, train the trainer session for you. You will be shocked the way people will be attentive in class, right? Now, at the same time, you can use it to get a form of feedback. If you tell me to go for a particular training, right, something I'm not even strong in, and you tell me I am going to make a presentation, maybe under the KSS knowledge sharing session, to the MD, believe you me, I will take so much focus, so much seriousness to do it. You are already getting a form of feedback that the needle has moved from one place to another. Ibitayo didn't know this well before, now he knows it better. Another form of feedback through evaluation, surveys, right? One-on-one questions. Speak to the line manager too at the same time. Has this person improved or not? So these things then, I'm very particular about when you put together your feedbacks, make it constructive. Now, a lot of people will give feedbacks, and by the time you come out, you see people crying. Oh, sorry, did I hit a nerve there? Right, you see people crying. So feedbacks are good, make it constructive. Now, emotional intelligence comes into play when you're giving feedbacks. The person you're speaking to is a human being. My goal is not to make you cry. My goal is to make you grow and be a better self to the organization, to yourself, and to the community at large. So feedback is very good, and there are various ways for it.
Thank you so much. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Just to add one more thing to that, I really love what you said about the feedback. Just to add one quick thing, what I struggled with in the past was that there wasn't really a great way for me to close the loop. So I had to do a lot of manual efforts, right? So a team member goes for training or takes an online course or something else, and then I have to ask HR, can you go and find out what they did in the course? What were they meant to learn in the course? And then somehow I have to remember that when I'm giving them reviews, I have to check that training actually has worked for them. And then do I remember what I rated them in the beginning? So it's just so much work. And so I think we just need better tools to do this. That is actually why we started building TileStack, is that there needs to be a single place where performance and learning are connected. It has to be connected. And so what that means is, if next month or in January, I give a performance review to my employee, and I say, one of the areas you need to work on is communication. I need to actually define what that means. Look, here's why I'm giving you that feedback, because you need to improve how you communicate complex ideas or communicate problems.
Very specific.
Then I assign them the learning on the platform. And what that allows me to do is, after they've taken that course and they've done everything else around, practicing it, everything, I have the data and the feedback in the same tool. So when I'm doing my quarterly review of them again to give them feedback, I can remember that you had this issue, I assigned you these courses, so how am I rating you now? And it also then helps the HR team to be able to see the history. So I think we just need way better tools,
Yes.
and I'm
Thank
excited
you.
to be providing those
Technology.
tools.
Thank you so much. I mean, one of the things that we do in my company is when, for instance, we train a new manager on certain areas for their new role, they come and do a presentation to their line manager and other people, and they are assessed immediately, they're giving the immediate feedback. So again, a round of applause for my amazing panelists, and a round of applause for me. Thank you. Just as a general feedback, you're also responsible for your own development. You don't have to leave everything to your organization. A lot of companies are not doing it right. If you stay there and you're waiting for them, I'm sorry, but today is not for that. I want to round up by saying, assume that this conference was paid for by your organization. What will you be doing differently to impact your work? Thank you so much.
Thank
for listening
you.
to us.
Thank you.